The glass jar hit the floor before the door even finished swinging open. Shattered right there on the tile, thick red salsa splattered across my boots like blood. I stood frozen in the doorway, two grocery bags cutting into my fingers, staring at the two women who were not supposed to be in my house. Her sister, Mindy, was halfway through measuring my dining room with a tape measure. Her mom was dragging my recliner away from the window like she owned the place. I hadn't even made it 3 feet inside. "What the hell is this?" I said, loud and sharp. Mindy turned, smiled like we were just bumping into each other at the grocery store. "Oh, hey, Kyle, you're home early." "Yeah, funny that," I said, dropping the bags onto the counter. One tipped, eggs rolled, one cracked. I didn't care. "How did you get in?" They both froze a second too long. "Well," her mom said slowly, "your wife gave us a copy of the key when she visited last week. The only way she had one was if she'd copied mine without asking." "She had one made?" I asked, walking past them toward the hallway. I needed to check the bedrooms. Something in my gut said this went way deeper. "She just thought it'd be easier in case of emergencies," Mindy said. "We're just figuring out space." "You know, planning for what?" I asked, whipping around. My voice echoed off the walls. "This is my house. You don't live here." That's when her mom laid it out like it was some casual update from the family group chat. "Well, we've been talking about it, your wife and the kids and Mindy here. It just makes sense to all live together. You've got the space, and it's time we all just made it work for everyone. Quick note, before we go further, share which city or country you're watching from." I stared at her. "Made it work for everyone? Who's everyone?" "Family, Kyle," Mindy said. "Your wife's family." "Your family." They weren't asking, they were telling, like it was already decided. I pointed to the door. "You've got 2 minutes to get out of my house or I call the cops." Her mom scoffed, like I'd just told her to get out of a Walmart. "You're overreacting." "No need to be dramatic. 1 minute 45, I said. They exchanged a look, grabbed their bags, and shuffled out, whispering under their breath the whole way. I locked the door behind them, heart pounding, fists clenched. Then I changed the lock that same night. I was still scraping dried salsa out of the grout when my phone started ringing. Didn't even get a chance to wipe my hands. I picked up and barely got out a "yeah" before the yelling hit me. "You're being completely selfish, Kyle. This isn't just about you. This is about family." It was my father-in-law, Harold. That pissed-off half-growl voice of his was already deep in it, like we'd been fighting for 20 minutes. "Hold on," I tried. "No. You listen. You're blowing this all out of proportion. Your wife wants a safe place for her kids, her sister's kids, and what do? You threaten to call the cops on her mother? Shame on you." I pulled the phone away from my ear and stared at it for a second. I could hear his voice still going. Didn't even matter if I was on the line. "You done?" I asked, bringing it back. "Don't be a child." Click. I set the phone down, hands shaking, heart still thumping like I was under attack. I sat on the floor next to the broken jar for a second, just trying to slow my breathing. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. A notification popped up on my screen. Facebook. I opened it. It was a post from Mindy, dated 3 weeks ago. Her 2 kids were in a bedroom. Not mine, but damn close in layout. One of them was holding up a Spider-Man poster. The caption said, "Making plans for the new house. Can't wait to get settled in our room soon." My stomach dropped. I hadn't even closed on the house 3 weeks ago. I hadn't even signed the final papers. They'd been planning this before I got the keys. I scrolled through the comments. "So happy for you guys. It's going to be perfect. Hope Kyle's ready for a full house." They knew. All of them. I was the only one in the dark. I dropped my phone on the couch and just sat there, stunned. Then another vibration. Group text. The one my wife used for her side of the family. Only this time, it looked like they forgot to leave me out of it. "Don't worry. Kyle always gives in eventually." That was it. No emojis, no LOL, just that. Like, I wasn't even a factor. Just a speed bump they'd flatten eventually. I didn't respond. I just stood there in my own house, which suddenly didn't feel like mine at all. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling while my mind ran through every moment of the last few months. That one rushed visit my wife made, the way she kept asking about square footage. The way her sister had tagged along when we went furniture shopping just to browse. How they all suddenly knew where I lived when I never gave them the address. It clicked. This wasn't miscommunication. This wasn't confusion or a difference in expectations. This was a setup. They were never asking. They were counting on me to cave. The next morning, I dragged myself to work on 2 hours of sleep. My head was pounding. I tried to focus on the pallet list, but everything blurred. I kept seeing Mindy in my dining room, holding that damn tape measure like she was the contractor. By lunch, I'd taken my break in my car, just sitting there, engine off, windows up, sweating in the heat, because it was the only space that was actually mine. I didn't tell anyone, not yet. I wasn't ready to explain how my own wife's family was squatting in my life like termites. I just kept thinking, if they're this bold now, what's next? And what the hell was I supposed to do about it? I was still debating whether to even show up when I pulled into their driveway. The text had said dinner at 6. Let's talk things through like adults. That was rich coming from the people who'd broken into my house and handed out room assignments like it was summer camp. My gut said, don't go. Every muscle in my body was already tensed up. But I needed to see it for myself, how far this had really gone. So I walked up to that door, knocked once, and went in. The dining table was already set, big pot roast in the middle, sweet tea sweating in glasses. Everyone was on one side of the table like they'd rehearsed it. My wife, her parents, Mindy, even the damn pastor from their church, off to the side like a moral referee. I didn't sit. I just looked at them. Glad you came, her mom said, motioning to the seat across from them. The hot seat. I pulled it out slowly and dropped into it. Harold cleared his throat like he was chairing a board meeting. So, let's stop all this tension. We've been looking at some options that could work for everyone. He reached into a manila folder and slid 3 real estate listings across the table. All 5-bedroom homes, 2-story, HOA-covered neighborhoods. We'd sell yours and roll the equity into a bigger place. Split the mortgage 4 ways. 4 ways? I said. Between who? Us, you, Mindy? He said, like it was obvious. We're one family, Kyle. You talked to my bank? I asked, narrowing my eyes. Harold didn't flinch. Of course I did. Your wife and I share some accounts. I had a few questions. My wife jumped in fast. It wouldn't be hard. We'd sell off your bulky stuff, make room for the kids' bunk beds. My sister's got her eye on the guest room. Sell off my stuff? I asked. Mindy leaned forward, smiling like it was all settled. That's when the front door opened. In walked Brian, my wife's brother. Didn't even say hi. He went straight to the hallway, opened a door like he owned it, and said, just wanted to check the garage size again. Gotta make sure my truck will fit on the left side. I'll leave you the right. Fair's fair. I stood up. Everyone stopped talking. I looked around the table. Watch me not help, I said, loud enough for the whole damn house to hear. Her mom gasped. My wife's jaw dropped like I'd slapped her. I didn't wait for a reply. I turned, walked out, and slammed the door behind me. Didn't even get to the car before I was muting the group chat. Turned off my phone at the next red light. Didn't turn it back on that night. I went home, locked the door behind me, and stood in the kitchen, staring at my fridge for a full minute. This time, I didn't feel confused or blindsided. I felt done. I was finished. I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. 10 notifications. All Facebook. I knew it before I even opened the app. That cold, stomach-sinking feeling told me it wasn't good. First post at the top of my feed was from Mindy. A dim, filtered photo of her 2 kids passed out on a couch. My couch from my living room, with blankets pulled over their heads. Caption, when family turns their back on you, #family first. No names, no tags. But everyone knew who she meant. The comments were already crawling. This breaks my heart. God doesn't sleep. Kyle will get what's coming. Is that the new place? Thought he was better than this. Unbelievable. Prayers for y'all. Most of these people weren't strangers. They were folks from church, neighbors I used to chat with at the mailbox. One of them coached my nephew in Little League. I could feel their judgment like it was piping hot air being pumped straight through my phone screen. I didn't comment. I didn't like or block or reply. I just stared at it. Then my phone rang. Hello? Mr. Carter? This is Lisa from the HOA. We received a complaint that you might be running a business out of your residence. Just wanted to confirm. I work at a warehouse, I said flat. There's no business here. Who filed the complaint? She paused. Well, it came through anonymously, but I have to follow up either way. Right. I hung up without saying goodbye. 15 minutes later, I was mid-toast when the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole, and of course, standing there with his Bible and that crooked little smile, Pastor Ron, my wife's old church guy, the same one who said, God will guide you through this marriage during our wedding. I opened the door halfway. Kyle, he said with a soft nod, just came by to pray with you. The family's hurting, and I think... Stop, I said. He blinked. You're not here to pray. You're here to pressure. No, I didn't ask for prayer. I didn't invite you. You're not welcome in this house. His lips pressed together like he wanted to argue, but I guess he saw something in my face that told him not to. I closed the door before he could get another word out. By noon, I had 5 missed calls, 7 texts, and 1 voicemail from someone I hadn't talked to in 2 years, all saying some version of, I heard what happened. You okay? Translation, we saw the post. We think you're the asshole. I felt surrounded, like I couldn't move without one of them reaching through the walls. They weren't just messing with my peace. They were coming for my reputation. They were trying to ruin my life in layers, emotional, legal, social, one by one, a full court press. And for what? Because I wouldn't let 6 extra people move into my house like it was a damn rescue shelter? That afternoon, I pulled out a notepad and started a list. Names, dates, screenshots, anything I could get my hands on. Because I wasn't rolling over. Not now, not ever. I snapped my notepad shut and grabbed my keys. Enough was enough. That night I called Jason, a guy I hadn't seen in years, but used to pull all-nighters with back in college. He was a lawyer now, family and civil, exactly the kind of person I needed. We met at a diner off Route 17. Same cracked booths, same smell of burnt coffee. Jason slid into the seat across from me, loosened his tie, and said, You look like hell, man. I'm living it, I said, handing him my phone. Read. He scrolled through screenshots of posts, texts, HOA complaints. His eyebrows rose higher every page. Jesus, Kyle. This is organized harassment. That's what it feels like. He leaned forward. First thing, document everything. Screenshots, voicemails, photos of who's been in your house. We'll start a file. Next, you need proof they're entering without permission. I nodded. Already got a quote for cameras. Install them today, he said. Change your locks. Every door, every window if you have to. Move your mail to a P.O. box. Anything they can access, cut it off. I left that diner with a to-do list and an actual plan. For the first time in weeks, my hands weren't shaking. By nightfall, I had 4 new cameras up. Front door, back door, garage, and living room. New deadbolts, new window locks. Bills and bank statements redirected to a P.O. box across town. Everything documented, everything dated. 2 days later, my wife showed up at the door while I was at work. Tried her key. Nothing. The camera caught her jiggling the knob, trying the windows, even peeking into the garage like she still had a right to be there. I watched it later that night, jaw tight. Jason drafted a cease and desist. I printed it on heavy paper, slid it into an envelope, and drove to her parents' house myself. Hand-delivered. Her mom opened the door, smirked until she saw the letterhead. Then her face drained. I didn't say a word. I just turned and walked off the porch. 3 days of quiet followed. No posts, no calls, no random cars parked on my street. The silence was so thick it felt like snow. Then Thursday morning at work, my name blared over the intercom. Kyle Carter, please come to the front office. Urgent. I jogged out thinking someone was hurt. At the door, I found Mindy crying, Harold holding her arm. My wife bent over like she couldn't breathe. She's having an attack, Harold barked. Call an ambulance. I froze. What happened? We need you to drive her. Jason's words hit me. They'll pull stunts to drag you out. I stepped back. Call 911 yourself. My boss, Rick, had come up behind me. What's going on? He asked. Harold straightened. Family emergency. We need Kyle to... No, you don't, Rick cut him off. This is a workplace. You need to leave. They all glared at me but shuffled out, not so dramatic anymore. Rick looked at me. You okay? I am now, I said. That night, Jason called. You're not going to believe this. That GoFundMe your wife started, using your photo and some sob story, it's gone, pulled down. Legal complaint worked. For the first time in a long time, I exhaled slow. They'd tried everything, and it was starting to break. The next morning, I got to work early. Same routine. Badge in, steel toe boots on, head down. I didn't say much anymore, didn't need to. Most people were either scared to ask or smart enough not to. But when I opened my locker, I stopped cold. Inside was a small loaf of fresh bread, still warm, wrapped in foil. On top was a folded note written in blue pen. Some of us wish we'd set boundaries years ago. M. No last name, no drama, just that. I stood there holding it like it weighed 50 pounds. It hit harder than the cease and desist, harder than the cameras or the lawyer or any fight I'd won so far. Someone saw it, someone understood. Not pity, respect. That was the crack. That's where it started breaking. The next day, I got a message from my cousin Tara. We hadn't spoken since the wedding. Hey, not trying to stir things up, but this whole situation doesn't sit right. Just know some of us see through the noise, one sentence. That's all it took. Later that week, I was restocking in the back room when my supervisor flagged me down. You got a minute? Yeah. He handed me a sealed envelope. It's from Denver. You've been on their short list a while. I opened it right there. Inside, formal job offer. Same company, Colorado branch. Better pay, better hours. Relocation covered. I didn't even blink. I'm in, I said. You want to think about it? No, I said. I've been thinking for months. I didn't tell anyone else. Not Jason, not Tara, not even Rick. I wasn't giving this move a headline. I was doing it my way, on my timeline, with nobody in my pockets. That night, I sat on the porch with the bread on a plate next to me, still picking at it, still thinking about that note. Every bite felt like one more string cut loose. Then Tara messaged me again. You heard about Uncle Dan's place? I replied. No. Why? Mindy's been hinting at needing a temporary landing spot. Everyone knows what that means. I just stared at the message for a second, then laughed, sharp and bitter. They weren't stopping. They were just moving on to the next one. Same script, new house. I didn't feel sorry for them. I didn't even feel mad anymore. All I felt was certain. I was getting out. The knock came soft, like she was trying to sound gentle. I didn't bother checking the cameras. I already knew who it was. I opened the door, and there she stood, my mother-in-law, purse on her shoulder, fake smile in place, holding a foil-covered pie dish like it was a peace treaty. Cherry pie, she said, stepping in without asking. Still your favorite, right? It's not, I said flat. She moved past me like she didn't hear, setting the dish on my counter. She looked around like she owned the place. Eyes on the floors, the clean surfaces, the new locks. You've really cleaned the place up. Looks nice, she said. I reached into the drawer and pulled out a plain white envelope, slid it across the counter toward her. I'm not negotiating. She opened it slowly, like it might explode. Inside was my signed offer letter from the Colorado branch. Start date in 6 weeks. She read it twice. Her lips pressed together, then pulled into a tight smile. Well, she said, voice sharp now, that's a big decision. You wouldn't even have this house if it weren't for this family. I laughed, short and humorless. I walked over to the file cabinet, pulled out a folder, and laid it flat next to the listings. See these? I said. Every bank statement, every closing document. Not $1 from you, not one from your daughter. This house is mine. Every inch. She crossed her arms. We can contest that. You're married. She has a right to it. Nope, I said. Her eyes narrowed. I pulled up my phone, tapped the security app, and turned it toward her. Here's Mindy trying to break in. Here's you measuring rooms like you live here. Here's your daughter trying to get in with a copy of a key she never should have had. She didn't say anything. I leaned forward. This isn't a warning. This is the end of the road. You or anyone else shows up again or tries one more stunt. I'll take it to court, and I will win. She picked up her listings, folded them in slow motion, and slid them back into her purse. You've changed, Kyle. No, I said. I stopped letting you change me. She left the pie on the counter like it meant something. I waited until I heard her car pull out before I dropped it straight in the trash. I was halfway through folding laundry when the message came through. Family meeting, Sunday 4 p.m. No excuses, no name, no tone, just an order. I knew what it was. One last ambush. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I was already planning to show up, just not for the reason they thought. That Sunday, I pulled up to Harold and Karen's place with a manila folder in my hand and every ounce of hesitation wrung out of my system. This wasn't about being heard anymore. This was about ending it. I stepped inside and got hit with a wall of perfume, pot roast, and fake smiles. The whole gang was there. Uncles, aunts, cousins, church friends. Even Grandma was parked in her usual chair like some kind of holy referee. They'd stacked the deck. Everyone was already seated, but no one said a word. All eyes were on me as I walked into the living room. I didn't sit. Before they could launch into whatever guilt-ridden speech they had rehearsed, I opened the folder and laid it flat on the coffee table. "Let me save everyone some time," I said. "I sold the house. Closing in 4 weeks. I'm moving to Colorado Silence." Then Harold stood up, puffed his chest like he'd been waiting for that exact cue. "This is what we're talking about," he said, turning to the room. "Selfish. Ungrateful. We gave this man everything, and the second things get hard, he walks out on family." I stayed quiet. I opened the folder again and pulled out the spreadsheets Jason had helped me print. "Here's a breakdown," I said, handing a copy to Grandma. "Year after year of financial help. Every check, every Venmo transfer, every loan that magically didn't get repaid. All of it went to Mindy and her kids. Rent, groceries, daycare, car repairs, wedding number 2. Meanwhile, I got what? A pie and a guilt trip." Karen's mouth dropped. Mindy looked like she'd been slapped. Tara, my cousin, leaned forward. "Wait, all that went to just Mindy?" I nodded. "Every dime. I can back it up." Harold started waving his hand. "That's not what this is about." "Exactly," I cut him off. Grandma spoke next, quiet but clear. "Karen, is that true?" Karen swallowed hard. "They needed it more." "No," I said. "They expected it. Just like they expected to move into my house. Just like they expected me to roll over and let them bulldoze my life." More whispers now, people shifting in their seats. Uncle Dave frowned. "Mindy, did you really tell people that house was yours?" Mindy snapped. "We were just planning." He overreacted. I held up my phone and scrolled to the photo. "You mean this one? Of your kids in my living room, claiming their new rooms? Dated 2 weeks before I closed escrow?" She looked away. The room went quiet again. "I'm not asking for approval," I said. "I'm informing you. I'm leaving. I'm not dragging this drama to Colorado. I'm not taking any of you with me. You can think whatever you want, but you won't get access to me again." Harold stepped forward, jaw tight. "You'll regret this. Family's all you've got in the end." I met his stare head on. "Then it's a good thing I'm finally starting over." I turned and walked out. No yelling, no tears. Just the sound of my boots hitting the tile and the front door clicking shut behind me. They didn't follow. I didn't look back, not once. 1 year later, I was in Colorado. Same company, different branch, better pay, better pace, no drama. I pulled into my driveway after work, same quiet neighborhood, same view of the Rockies in the distance. Nobody standing in my yard, no flyers on the door, no surprise minivans parked out front. Just my house. My space, my rules. The locks hadn't been touched since I installed them. No one had a spare key but me, and that wasn't changing. Inside, the place smelled like clean laundry and fresh coffee. My boots hit the hardwood, not Legos. My fridge wasn't raided. My couch was still where I left it. My furniture hadn't been sold off for bunk beds. My name was on every utility, and no one else's toothbrush sat in my bathroom. This was what peace looked like. A message pinged on my phone. Marcy. "Still on for the hike?" I smiled. That was the same Marcy who left that loaf of bread in my locker back when everything was caving in. Quiet support, no strings, no gossip. Me. Definitely. I looked around my living room. Everything here was picked by me, paid for by me. No one else hovering, hinting, angling, scheming. My social circle now? Friends who asked what I wanted, not what they could take. People who made space for me instead of trying to take it over. No guilt trips, no twisted versions of family first. Just real, steady freedom. Tara messaged now and then, small check-ins like, "Hope you're good out there." And that was fine. The rest of them, gone quiet, completely. And the difference now? I didn't chase anyone. Didn't owe anyone a call. Didn't lose sleep wondering what they thought. Didn't feel pulled in 5 directions trying to keep the peace. I poured a glass of whiskey and stepped out onto the back porch. The sun was dipping low over the mountains, lighting the sky up in burnt orange and deep purple. My boots rested on the railing. The air was sharp and still. For the first time in years, I wasn't bracing for anything. No blow-ups, no ambushes, no sideways comments wrapped in sugar. Just silence, and peace, and the freedom I fought like hell to earn. I took a slow sip, looked out across the yard, and thought, this is what it feels like to have a life that's mine.